Hi everybody, this is Brother Anderson. Again, I am recording this screencast video just for the benefit of those who either wanted to review some of the things that can happen in Canvas and on Big Blue Button, and for the benefit of those who weren't able to make either of our meetings this week. The purpose of this screencast is not to show you necessarily all the nuances and details of what Canvas can do or what Big Blue Button can do. The purpose of this screencast is to just give you the basics so that you can have a meaningful experience with your students in the Book of Mormon this year. So let's go. I want to take you first. Let's go to Canvas, and we'll take you into so when you first enter into Canvas, you will see a screen that looks something like this. It won't look exactly like this because I have obviously a lot of classes and I coordinate some classes and all that, but you will have this U.S. Midwest area training class, you should at least, and then you'll have your own Book of Mormon class there. As you are in the dashboard, you will then see, as your students start fulfilling their assignments, you'll see to-do lists, things that look like this. And you'll be able to click on that. It'll send you right away to a place called Speed Grader, where you'll be able to see the responses of your students, and you will be able to grade them and make comments on what they say. I'm going to go ahead and click on this one just so you can see what it looks like. This one's a video one, so we won't necessarily give it away. And so you'll see this video response here, and you can click and play. You can give the grade there, and you can make your comments over here. You can do this pull-down menu, and everybody that has a little orange dot by their name means they're new submissions. Anybody that's checked means that you've already corrected it, and anybody that just looks like that means that they haven't turned one of these in. And so, here's another orange dot there, and you can click on hers, and same thing, watch the video. She had previously recorded a video, and there was no sound. I made that comment back on August 7th, and so she's resubmitted it, and now I'm going to listen again and grade and put the grade. So that's how that all works. And then just to get back to your class, you just click right here, the U.S. Midwest area. That's at least where that one was. I want to go, though, to the courses that look more like your Book of Mormon class. So here's the home page and the name of your class, and there's some text here, and there's a video here, and then go to the lesson module here. You are free to edit this home page and play around with how you want it to look. Some teachers feel like they would like to make some announcements here. This will be the first thing your students say or see, so you can click the edit there and add some things. But let's go to the lesson modules. You'll notice as well, before I move off there, that because I've set something in a calendar somewhere, that will also be shown here. And so I'll show you the calendar in a second. Okay, lesson modules. So while it's loading, you're going to notice that you'll have all the lessons will be listed here, and they'll have a little arrow, and if you click on the arrow, it'll drop down the different parts of the lesson. Over here is the button that publishes or unpublishes. To unpublish, you just click the cloud, and it turns into a cloud with a dash through it. If you publish it, it'll be a green cloud with an upload arrow in it. If you want to set a schedule for when these lessons will be unlocked, you can click edit here, and then from edit you can say lock until, and then you can pick a date when you want that to open. Let's say the 18th of August, and then you want to update your module. That's giving me some warning because I think we've been doing some active work in it, and so it was telling me that we've already been through it, but yours won't say that. Now, you will need to still publish it, even though you've set it to be locked until a certain date. You still need to publish it, and that won't automatically unpublish it. And so if you want to help train your students to have a daily experience, you will still want to regularly unpublish these assignments. But you can go through and lock these things into a certain day. And then you can go to your calendar here. And in your calendar, you can then set when you want different lessons to occur. And so lesson 1, it appears here as being due on this day, and so it appears there. Okay. We come back here to courses, come back to our class, back to our modules. There was a little bit of a flaw when the lessons were uploaded into Canvas, and for some reason lessons 11 through 14, I've already unpublished them, but you look at your class, 11 through 14 will be published already, and you're going to want to go through and unpublish those, as well as lessons 21 through 40. For whatever reason, when they were transferred into Canvas, they came published, and if you don't unpublish them, your students are going to be able to binge feed on all the lessons, and we don't want that necessarily to happen. Okay, so that's kind of basic 101 stuff there. As you look over what your students will and will not be covering without you, it would be a good idea for you to then, as you make your pacing guide and work with your coordinator to do that, to decide which lessons you're going to teach in your 5th day lesson, whether that, some of you will be teaching on Monday, some of you will be teaching on Fridays, but let's say you're teaching on Friday, so your lesson will be lesson 5, the overview of the Book of Mormon. So you would probably not ever unpublish that or publish that, because you're going to go through it together, unless you wanted to use this lesson for your virtual meeting for whatever reason, and then you could publish it. But to get to a conference where you are able to have your virtual meeting, you would set it up this way. You would come to conferences, and you would set up a conference by pushing the Add Conference button. You can name it whatever you want it to. So overview of the Book of Mormon, which was lesson 5. And you can enable recording here. You can add a description here. Friday morning at 6 a.m. or whenever you have it. You click here to invite all course members, or you can handpick them if you wanted to do that, and that's just the way you do it. I'm going to leave them uninvited. Maybe I'll invite Ryan Jenkins, just so that he's the only one who actually gets I'll just invite all of them. It's fine. All right, and then we're going to update that. And so now there is a conference that is set up. And then to start the conference, you go ahead and click Start. Wait for it to load. It's going to ask you to add your Flash player. And mine, because I've opened it so many times today, it didn't ask me that, but usually it does. And then it's going to ask you to do a little microphone check. If your students click this Listen Only, then you're going to see a speaker icon. The problem with that is then they won't be able to speak using a microphone. So as you explain to your students how to do this, you're going to want them to do this microphone so that you can have discussion in your class. You're going to allow it over here. And then it's going to do a little sound audio test. And if you can't hear any feedback, which I may not be able to because the QuickTime player is using the microphone, but you click Yes here. And then it asks you permission to record your meeting. And so you start recording here. Yeah. And then you enable your webcam here and allow that. And so now there's my face, there's my microphone, there's my name, and this is kind of your default setting layout of how things will look. So as your students start adding onto your class, you'll see their names in blue written here. You'll see if they've enabled their webcams, that'll be there. You'll see their microphones happening here. And this is just where you'll get an idea of what your users are doing. Over here, this icon with the smiley face will allow you to give some kind of status of where you are. You can help your students have a more orderly class by encouraging them to raise their hands when they want to share something. And if they click that hand tool, then you'll see the hand here. And then you as the presenter could clear their hand tool that way, or you could click this little setting cog and you can clear all status icons right there, and it'll take them all away. But there's other things you can use here. You can ask your students to give you a thumbs up if you just want a quick idea of how they, what they think about something, or if they can see something or whatever. And then of course, if they want to be cute, they can use all these different facial status things. Additionally, in this little setting spot, if you're getting some weird feedback, you can mute all your class members, or you can mute everybody except yourself. And then you can explain to your students, I've muted you because I was getting some funny feedback, but you can unmute yourself if you have a comment, and then all the student has to do is come over here and they can unmute themselves with this microphone or this microphone. They do not want to click this one right here because that will actually stop sharing their microphone. But this one, they can keep sharing their microphone, but they can be muted in that place. Okay. Here in the middle of the screen is where you will have the presentation that you may have downloaded into Big Blue Button. This is the default one. You can move the slides this way. This is in the default presentation. They have a whiteboard for you to use. These are the annotation tools that you would use to write things on it. If you want to make a triangle, I don't know why you do that, but maybe you wanted to do that. If you wanted to draw, you can totally draw. You can type things with the little text tool and click it there, and that shows up. You can draw lines, and then you can erase everything. You can change the color here. You can change the size. All that takes place. In WebEx, you were able to have your students annotate as well. And in Big Blue Button, the only way you can get your students to annotate is if you come over here and click next to their name. This little icon will appear when you mouse over, and you just click that screen-looking thing, and it makes them the presenter temporarily. Then you can have them annotate the slide or whatever. And then if you want to take the control back, you just click back on yours, and then you're the presenter once again. To upload a PowerPoint, you click the upload presentation icon that's right here, and then you would select a file, and you've already made your PowerPoint, and then you would just click that and you would upload it into, I don't have actually a PowerPoint here, but that's okay. And then you would just open it there, and then you would upload it here, and then it would take a little bit. You'd probably want to do this before class started, but then it would show here, and then you could have multiple PowerPoints loaded up for your lesson if you wish to, and then you just push show on the one that you want to show. And then that's how you would use that. One of the neat things about the slide here, looks like you've got several whiteboards, is you can actually zoom in on a certain part in the, oops. Hold on, you can zoom in. And then you can talk about different things, and if you want to go back, you just click that. Right here, this is a start a poll feature where you could ask the students a true or false question, and then wait as the students click true or false, and you'd watch their responses come, and then when you publish it to the class, they would see the results. You can make a custom poll where you actually input the questions you wanted. I feel great. Feel with 3 E's. Great. I feel not great. And then you can start that poll, and students could click on which one they want. You could publish those results, and they would show up there. Kind of a fun tool. You can get all creative with that if you want. Over here is the chat box. If you want to make a general comment to everybody, you just type down here, and it will show up there. And then students, as they start to respond, you'll see theirs listed there. If you wanted to just hit one individual student, it's only me in here right now, but if the names were listed here, you could click on that, and then you could talk just to that individual student if you needed to. Down here is your layout view. So right now it's at a default layout, but if you wanted to, if worse came to worse and things weren't working out well in your Big Blue Button and your PowerPoint's not happening and the videos aren't working, well then just switch it to webcam meeting, and all of a sudden it's just your big heads and you're all looking at each other, and you can pull out your scriptures and have a discussion. If you had a presentation working well, you could click it over here to lecture, and you'll notice then that the prominent thing placed here is the actual PowerPoint, and then there's all kinds of other things that you could do. This is only the heads with nothing else going on anyway. And then if you wanted to make it so everybody had that same view, you just click over this one, and it applies whatever view you're on to everybody else, and it kind of forces them into that view. Last thing I'll show you here is how to share your screen. If you wanted to share your screen, you could click this little icon here. It's going to have you download. It may look a little different for PC. Mine's a Mac. You download the thing here, and because mine comes from an outside source, all my security protections come on, but I click yes and okay, and then I try to download it, and it'll tell me I can't, and so then I have to come up here to my preferences, and in my preferences, it'll tell me that there's a problem, and so I got to go to security here. And give it a second. There we go. Right here it's saying this was blocked. I can open it anyway, and then open it here, and then it's going to run Flash. So it's a multi-step process, or Java, sorry. So if you want to share your screen, it's a little bit of a pain. Just be aware of that. And once it works, again, because I'm already doing my screen share, this might run into problems. Oh, yeah, there you go. You'll see this little blue line here that shows that you're now sharing your screen. You say OK, and you can come back in, and it'll show you what your screen kind of looks like. It'll be a little delayed, and then you can minimize that to get out of the way, but if you wanted to show your students what's going on. And then to stop sharing your screen, you simply just click on that, and you're done sharing your screen. And that's kind of the basics of Big Blue Button. So let me come out of here. Oh, and by the way, just because you've exited out doesn't mean the meeting has been ended. And so we're going to ignore that. We're going to say OK. And the meeting is now ended. And then you've got to refresh. And it might take a couple of times. Yep. Before you can see the recording. We'll come back. We'll see if that works out. One thing I neglected to show you that I probably ought to show you in the modules is when if you do happen to be teaching your 5th day lesson on a certain day, each one of these lessons comes equipped with a PowerPoint that was made just for you from Salt Lake, and if you wanted to use that PowerPoint, it's at the end of each lesson right here, and all you have to do is click on that and download it to your computer, and then you can make it your own by changing slides or adding things or taking things away, and then that's what you could upload. Or you can just make your own PowerPoint if you feel comfortable doing that. Okay. Now there was some question about doctrinal mastery use that came up in both meetings, but then there was something that I had said in the first meeting that caused some concern and caused the area director, Brother Matheson, to ask some more questions further up. And as we've talked with individuals, this is what basically has come down the pipe. Because doctrinal mastery is a more interactive initiative in seminary, some of you may feel like on your 5th day lesson that you want to spend some time doing doctrinal mastery. Certainly the role plays doesn't work online. It's got to happen when you're together, even in a virtual class. And I had mentioned that I was told that we were to prioritize the sequential lessons over the doctrinal mastery. And we just discovered as we did some more digging that that was just the opinion of one person. That wasn't actually coming from the the powers that be. And so that is still an option. If you feel a desire to spend a good bulk of your time, counsel with your coordinator and figure out what would work out best for your students, and you may end up spending some time in some of these virtual lessons doing things together like the role play, and that would be something that would be okay to do. But to counsel with your coordinator, and as you figure that out, there was a pacing schedule that was sent out as it was determined that doctrinal mastery is at least in the Old Testament year, as it's incorporated into the teacher manual, will be all taught on one day instead of spread out over multiple days. And so then we were sent from Salt Lake a pacing scale that reflected that, a pacing guide, and you could use that pacing guide to help you determine when you want your 5th day lessons to land and how you wanted that to look. And anyway, so again, counsel with your coordinator using that pacing guide. If that's something you feel very strongly about doing, then do so. Anyway, I'm sure I'm leaving a ton of things out, but the most important thing for you to remember to do is to help your students have a meaningful experience with the Scriptures and with the Spirit each day. Those are the most important things. Technology may fail us. Big Blue Button may be having a bad day and doesn't want to upload your PowerPoint, or the videos just aren't seeming to work. But if you can hear each other, then you can talk about the Scriptures. And as we work our way through all the bugs of this new system and trying to get people access, We appreciate your patience and your diligence and your faith. And as these bugs start to go away and we get into the throes of the school year, you're going to discover that this wonderful miracle of technology is going to allow some of your students who wouldn't otherwise have seminary to have a seminary experience. And it's a great time to be alive, and we just are so appreciative of your willingness to try to figure all of these things out. Again, I'm Brother Anderson, and if you have some questions about how to get things done in Canvas, talk with your coordinator, talk with me, and we'll get those things figured out. There are sometimes issues that will just, Canvas isn't working even though you know what you're doing, and those are issues that we've got to take to Salt Lake City with, but we're all here to help you figure out which ones of those issues go to which place. Anyway, this is going to be the end of my screencast. Thank you so much.